What is the death reach and what does it look like? In this video, I will show you. So at the end of life, there are different deathbed phenomena that can happen. I have seen them with my own eyes, and now amazing viewers like you have actually sent me a video of real life death reaching. So let me explain what it is first. I'll show you the video and I'll tell you about the email that was sent to me. So there are many different phenomena that can happen at the end of life that we as healthcare workers cannot explain. Particularly healthcare workers that actually work at end of life. We know these things happen, but we don't really have explanations for them. And one of those things is called the death reach. Now, the death reach usually goes along with the death stare and visioning. So I'm going to talk about all of them and then show you this amazing video and kind of tell you what's going on in this video. So the death reach sounds just like it sounds. The death reach is when someone dying isn't fully there, right? They're not making eye contact with you. They're not really talking with you. They're in their own little world, it seems like, right? And then suddenly you see them reaching up. They're reaching up to the ceiling, to the sky, whatever. A lot of times when they're doing this, they have a distinct stare on their face. They're not blinking. They're not responding to you. Like I've gone to patients and like snap my fingers in front of their face, like, hello, and they will not blink. They will not react to what you're doing. They have a stare that they're staring up at something, and then they reach. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they say, Mom. Sometimes they say a person's name who has died, their husband who had died before them, something like that. Sometimes they have full-on conversations. Now, all three of these things together are all three different end-of-life phenomena. So sometimes they do just the reach by itself. Sometimes they do just the stare by themselves. Sometimes they vision just by themselves, where they're actively talking to somebody that we don't see, but they see. Sometimes they're completely lucid when doing this. Sometimes they can look and talk to me as the nurse and then say, this is crazy, but I am seeing my dad and he's telling me he's coming to get me soon and not to worry. So it can be pretty extreme, just like that. I've educated about this for years because I think it's so important that people know what these things are. We don't know why they're happening, but we know they happen. I am not here to say what it means. I have no idea. I don't know if they actually are seeing their loved one or actually reaching for someone. It's comforting to me to think they are, but we just know that it does happen. So in this video, I have real life footage of someone doing the death reach. Someone wrote into me. They wrote me a lovely email. They sent the video of their father. They gave me permission to share, and I want to share it with you, and then we'll talk about it. I do want to share that in the email, this follower of mine shared that her father, who's in the video, had done this several times, had done this death reach over and over again, and even sometimes saying to whoever it was that he was reaching to, come to me, and was having conversations with what she thinks were his loved ones who had already died. It was very comforting for him and very comforting for her, his daughter, watching. One last thing about the video before I show it, I will give you a trigger warning just in case. He is covered up with like a mesh casing, and this is because he was intermittently having some agitation where he was picking and rolling and trying to get out of bed. So to keep him safe, they have this like mesh kind of curtain over him. So I just want to give you a warning about that before you watch. But trigger warning, here's the video. Okay, so there you have it. That's just one of the times that he was doing this, where he was sort of reaching up. You can tell he's trying to grab at something. The daughter of the man in that video sent me an email and also said that 14 days prior to his death, they placed him into a medically induced coma. So basically palliatively sedated him so he could be very comfortable at the end of his life. And he still woke up every once in a while to tell her that her grandfather was there. So his father was visiting him, per what he was saying. To me, that's a great example of visioning. Now, I'm so surprised that it happened while he was like in a medically induced coma, but I still think it's so lovely and so comforting. And she actually wrote that this video was one of those moments. So one of those moments when he actually woke up and said either his grandfather was there or come to me and was reaching, she actually caught that moment on camera. So the moment that you saw in that video was one of those moments. Now, they have that little mesh thing over him, I think because you could see he was trying to kind of get up. And a lot of times when someone's in a facility, they have to make sure that they are safe and they're not going to fall. So they do all these different precautions to try to keep the person in bed, keep them safe. Now, when the person is in this transitional phase, where they're kind of in this reality and not in this reality, they can do things like try to get out of bed and actually call to people to, hey, come get me, come to me, like help me up, because they're seeing things that we aren't seeing. To me, I wouldn't categorize this as like terminal agitation because he's not agitated. And he doesn't seem very restless either. He seems like he's really seeing someone or something and trying to hug them or touch them. The daughter said it was a very beautiful thing. So the daughter who was watching this and recording, her father said he did this many times. He was talking to his loved ones who were there. He was saying, come to me. And it was very comforting for her and for him. Now, like I said before, we don't know why these things happen, but what I will say is they are not happening because of lack of oxygen. That's one big thing people always say. Oh, someone had not enough oxygen to their brain, so they're hallucinating. That is not what's happening. Now, people's oxygen does drop at the end of life, particularly in the actively dying phase, but people are not usually doing the reach or the stare or the visioning during the actively dying phase. They are doing it before the actively dying phase when their oxygen level is usually fine. A lot of times they say, oh, it's because of medication. Many times I have seen people have delirium, have delusions, have hallucinations because of medication or because of the disease they have. Stuff like visioning, the death stare, the death reach, all those things look much different than what it looks like when someone has delirium or when someone is hallucinating because of medications. I have seen what that looks like, and it doesn't look like this. So I always like to talk about like the reasons why, the things that it is not. Another thing people always say, oh, it's DMT being released. That's a great theory, but we don't know that. People say that. Maybe that could be why, and maybe that could be why. Who knows? But what I do know is we don't know that for sure. And either way, I just think it's wonderful that it's comforting. Whether it's biological or chemically induced or really happening, it doesn't really matter to me, because what matters to me is the comfort of the person dying and the loved ones around them. And these things make them feel more comfortable. And I love that. Thank you so much to the follower who was willing to share this with me and now the rest of the world. I so appreciate you. Let me know in the comments if you've experienced something like this. I'm curious to know how frequently this happens.